Hey everyone and fellow modelers, welcome back. In this video, I am working on the legendary 1/48 scale Spitfire Mk.IX. It's the very first kit from brand new company called Ugur Models, and I'm taking you through the whole build, paint and the weathering process. So let's get started. When you pop the lid open, the first thing you notice is a cool little postcard, plus a 3D instrument panel. The kit comes with decals for 5 different aircrafts, including a rare Royal Air Force option with a nose art. Except for the French decal, all decals, including stencils, are printed by Eduard and canopy mask by Ugur Models. Alongside the plastic sprues, this box packs some extra detail sets like resin wheels, bumps and engine cowl, as well as a photo-etched set. Basically, this is Eduard's famous 1/48 scale Spitfire tooling, reboxed with extra aftermarket upgrades for maximum accuracy. In short, you are getting that exact, crisp Eduard plastic quality. On top of that, you get huge letter stickers to flag your sprues, making finding the right tree in the box effortless, a brilliant little touch. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, here we go. I clipped all the fuselage interior components from the sprues and pre-assembled as many sub-assemblies as possible before hitting the paint shop. At this stage, we also need to prep the photo etch, because a few of those tiny metal parts must be glued inside the fuselage as well. To get them ready, I brushed a metal primer onto those photo etch parts and set them aside to dry completely. Once cured, those metal parts are fully ready for both paint and assembly. With all the parts ready, I painted the interior components in their correct colors and sealed them with a gloss varnish to keep them protected. Then I painted the smaller, multicolored details one by one using a fine tip brush. I always start with the lighter tones and then worked my way through to the darker shades. To add extra detail to the canvas, I applied a custom DL decal that wasn't in the kit. Once the detail painting was finished, I glued each prepared part into place. For the smaller parts that were hard to handle, I painted them right on the sprue and only cut them free right before the assembly. As you can see here, this part also stayed on the sprue right up to this point. As expected, I use a classic CA glue to secure it. For smaller parts, CA glue usually does a great job, but when gluing the larger painted surfaces, the contact area must be cleared of the paint first. Even though I know they won't be visible, I always love adding extra detail inside the fuselage, like the custom wiring added here. Before installing them, I painted all the added wiring details separately and then fitted them into place. Before installation, photo-etched seat belt included in the kit were bent to the shape, also painted, weathered separately and glued into place. In the next step, I am sealing all the painting and weathering done so far with a layer of matte clear. Now for the fun part, it's time to bring together all the cockpit components I completed so far. I am now gluing the 3D instrument panel provided as an extra in the kit. As for the application method, I dissolve it in the water just like a classic decal, dry it completely and then secure it in place with a CA glue. I carefully placed the remaining small details onto the panel to finish this section. Here is the result. With the 3D instrument panel and a few extra wiring details, I think it turned out quite respectable. I carefully placed the finished instrument panel into place right underneath the wiring details that I added earlier. Since these parts are from the new Eduard kit, they fit together seamlessly afterward, even though each was painted and completed individually. Before closing the fuselage, I fit the photo-etched seatbelt set into place. As always, the belts were shaped beforehand and painted afterward. With the cockpit fully detailed, I can now seal the fuselage halves using standard CA glue without running into any alignment issues. Now I leave the fuselage to dry and move on to the wings. The wing assembly begins by first completing the internal walls of the landing gear base. These corresponding parts were painted and prepared right on their sprues. Following the instruction manual's exact order, each parts were installed one by one. With the gear bay done, upper wing is good to go. The upper component of the wing was also installed without any fitment issues. Since the clear canopy section fits so perfectly, I just drop it into place and secured it with a touch of Mk.IX thin cement. Next up were the extra resin detail sets included in the box. They were glued into place with a CA glue after just a bit of cleanup. Thanks to this part, I saved from the potential sanding and line scribing work on the nose. A nicely detailed photo-etched set is also provided for the radiator fairings under the wings, which I am completing at this stage as well. The photo-etched parts were secured into place using CA glue as well. I dry fit the propeller onto the nose to check the alignment, and I can see it doesn't fit properly. Turn out the problem is caused by some excess material on the inside. After scrubbing away the excess, I gave it another try, and the result is a perfect fit now. The included resin detail set is gonna make my job so much easier. Let me skip all the tedious gluing and sanding on small parts like extra bump and wheels. Preparations for the painting stage starts by stuffing the canopy with the poster tag. Then I just cover up the remaining gaps with masking tape to seal it all in. I also masked off the clear canopy part using pre-cut mask that came in the box, making sure every glass panel is sealed tight before painting. And with all that prepped, we are finally ready to head over to the paint station. So let me quickly walk you through my general painting process. I primed the clear part in black first, then I sprayed the whole model down with a coat of grey primer. For the yellow areas, I first applied a coat of white primer, followed by a layer of pink primer. Pro tip here, if you are aiming to reach vibrant yellow, spraying a pink base coat underneath makes all the difference. Check out just how bright and vibrant that classic yellow turns out over the pink. And the best part is, you get full coverage using very less yellow paint. Now that the yellow sections are all taped up and masked off, we are ready to jump into camo scheme. Painted the underside and masked it off. For camo patterns, I almost always prefer using poster tack to mask out the lines instead of spraying it freehand. Minor paint bleed may occasionally occur in some area. These imperfections are subsequently corrected via fine brush application. For the flag on the rudder, I masked and sprayed each color one by one to get those crisp lines. I stick with poster tag every time. Even though the paint is water-based acrylic under a water-based varnish, I never had it peel off. There is nothing better than pulling off the tape to a clean job, and with that done, it's time to jump into weathering. I mixed the main camouflage gray with two other gray tones to create a subtle variation. Then I took a brush and made random dabs across some panels to break up that flat, plain look. I went ahead and did the exact same thing on the green camouflage sections. And here is how it turned out: a flat, uniform paint job just looks way too boring for my taste. I thinned down the acrylic wash 8:1 using plain tap water, then slathered it over the whole model with a brush to pop out all those rivets and panel lines. Now we are at my favorite part, chipping and worn paint effects, done completely by hand with a brush, so I have total control. Much like how the depth and intensity of the weathering is completely up to the builder, I gotta say it's super easy to get carried away. It's so satisfying that it's super hard to know when to stop or even where to draw the line. Fortunately, I stopped myself before overdoing the weathering and made it safe to the decals. There aren't that many decals to worry about, so I'm wrapping this part up quick and smooth, no burnout here. As usual, Eduard decals come with the protective film layer, all of which need to be peeled off before moving on to the next step. Once the decals are sealed under a coat of gloss varnish, I move right along gluing the main assemblies together. This is where Eduard's parts quality really pays off. After painting almost all the main components, they just fit together smoothly without any hassle. I painted the lower engine cowl separately, which saved me from having to do extra masking. Similarly, elevator and rudder were kept off until the final stages, giving me much more freedom of movement and saving a ton of time during masking, painting, and the weathering. With almost all the work on the airframe done, including all the weathering, I can go ahead and apply a final flat coat with total confidence. Having a flat surface makes the airbrush exhaust staining bite into the paint better, giving it much more realistic look. While simulating stains and leaks, I am moving on the underside of the fuselage, using darker brown tone to add dust, sand, and the dirt streaks in the direction of airflow. Time to peel off the poster tag and reveal the cockpit. Removing it carefully so I don't rip out delicate details inside like wires and harness. The kit supplied canopy mask did a fantastic job with zero bleed through, so now I can move right along to detailing the door. The exhaust nozzles were just painted, weathered right out of the box, and installed at this stage. The kit supplied Gingercat resin wheel and rim set fit together perfectly with zero issues, so I'll mount them straight onto the main strut. I'm using slow drying CA glue to position the wheel relative to the main strut and the stance, letting them cure right where they belong. A quick pass with some extra dust and dirt pigments on the wheels, and this section is officially locked in. Getting fragile details like antennas and ordnance on the model is always my cue that we are right at the finish line. This kit proved to be smooth, hassle-free build from start to finish, striking the perfect balance between straightforward construction and top-notch detail. Eduard already provides an exceptional foundation here, and adding a handful of key detail set to address the few bare spots turned this kit into incredibly satisfying build, giving you a feeling of a quick, fun weekend project that never turns into grind. I really appreciate you taking time to watch this build come to life. Seeing everything come together at the finish line is what this hobby is all about, and I can't wait to dive into the next project with you. Until the next time, keep building and take care.